I got 7 quarts of oil, and I got some Lucas stabilizer. Well, I checked the pump motor for the ABS, valves for the ABS, the non-ABS brake. This was the none of them were blown, and every push rod is seated. Definitely running lean. Welcome to another episode of Yacht Life, and today we're gonna do some more troubleshooting, see if I can find anything, and if not, I'm just gonna call it a day. Let's go. So last night, I went ahead and took off the right side valve cover. I checked the spark plugs. Spark plugs are definitely running lean. The right side push rods and rocker arms are all seated. There's no broken springs, you know, relocated locators or retainers, no shims in it, so that side's alright. I think in the process of taking the left side off, I'm just going to take off the intake as well and check the O-rings under there, see if anything else is going on. But so far, I mean, I've come across absolutely nothing, and it's driving me crazy. But let's get to it. You want to know what really sucks about this whole situation? Is that I can't even take it to anybody. Like, I have to figure it out myself. But that's the worst part about this thing. Like, I can't even ask anybody for help at all to look at it. That's the messed up part. Pretty much perfect computer wise. What else am I supposed to say? Oh, okay, you know, just wild, man. So I did notice something weird. As you can see, the cup there that I usually use, I unplugged the fuel rail, and as usual, I was expecting a bunch of fuel to come out of it, which is why the rag is there, but it didn't. So I'm just gonna flick the key and watch it prime and see if fuel flies out of it, because if not, and I'm gonna try and start it and let it I guess spill out, so to speak. All right, let's try it. I probably took it off when it was full of fuel. That just looked a little weird. I'm gonna just try to fire it off. Okay, turns out that wasn't an issue. Let me get back to taking off this intake. So far, I can see I got a lot of blow by. Gotta fix that. That's probably where all my damn oil is going. A lot of blow by. The wires back there are good. None of these are burnt or frayed or anything. This hose for the brake booster is fine. All the way across, it's fine. Connected to the brake booster, that rubber boot isn't ripped. Okay, this plastic hose here for the evac out of the intake, that's not broken. Let's take a look at the bottom of this intake though. So we got the hose on the back of there is fine, the sensor and connector is fine. I'm gonna take the throttle body off in a second. Let's see what the bottom of this looks like. All the O-rings are perfect. The injectors aren't filthy, so I'm not really sure what is going on here. As y'all know, every time I take something off, I clean the surface. That's why I don't understand why people keep thinking I'm stiff and steps, so I'm doing something wrong, dude. Like, I'm taking every precautionary measure I possibly can when it comes to these damn cars and engines and stuff, man. So for somebody to be like, oh, you trying to do the easy way. Like, nah, dude. You don't understand how much time and money and effort it takes to do this stuff. You don't want to do it 6 or 7 times unless it's your job. That's different. But when it comes to your own personal build, or, you know, you doing something that is personal, you don't want to take no chances. And I'm definitely not trying to take any chances. Like, even when I took the valve covers off of here, before I put the valve covers back on yesterday, I wiped off the head. So it's just, I guess I'm really confused as to why I might have a leak somewhere. And the valves look perfectly fine. There's no, I don't know, man. Let me get to this left side valve cover. I got the other valve cover off. And let's take a look at these push rods, because we remember last time one of the push rods wasn't seated. And right now, every last one of them are seated. Yep, they're all seated. So there's nothing mechanical wise, at least on the top end on this side. So I mean, dude, I'm at a loss. I'm so confused right now. Like, why is it doing that? If it's not the tune, and all we did was hook up the exhaust, I'm going to disconnect this exhaust once it's back together and see what I come up with. The springs are good, the locators are good, the retainers are good, nothing's spun, at least up here, so I don't know. I don't freaking know. Plugs out of cylinder 3. Well, at least you know that the spark plug is a gap still. You know, I don't have any piston to valve contact anywhere. So that's a good thing. But as far as this influx of air, whatever's going on, it's driving me crazy. So I literally just read through this entire book, and it has not told me anything that I have not checked on this car in reference to its surging like it's surging. Vacuum lines, fittings, hoses, plastic couplers, fuel line, ABS sensors, wheel speed sensors, PCV, everything like that. And I've already checked everything. That hose goes into the crankcase hose, the hose on the brake booster. I mean, dude, this is just, I don't even really know what to say. Like, I wish that I could have someone come look at it, but there's no one that's gonna come look at it, or that I can take it to. That's just, it's just valve cover, coil packs, intake plenum, cold air intake. The entire removable top end is connected. Intake valve covers, cold air intake, coil pack spark plugs, coil pack wires, injector wires, brake booster to the rear of the intake, the evap canister, purge line, the fuel rail, the map sensor, PCV valve. I mean, there's nothing else left. Nothing. Coolant sensor's in, air intake sensor is in. There's nothing left. So, I'm gonna start it now. And she's still surging. I don't know why. Spark plugs are still gapped. They're running lean, but it's still surging. All the stuff has been readjusted, you know, removed, reinstalled. I mean, dude, just, it's gotta be that exhaust. And I think what I'm gonna do is get under there, disconnect it. It's gonna be fucking loud, but I need to know if it's the exhaust or not, because there's just no way it's just gonna keep fucking pulsing like that? P keeps telling me it's not your tune, it's definitely mechanical. Well, okay, I got a perfect startup tune, so what's the problem? I can't find it. No idea. So after fighting with the exhaust, I finally got it off. Took me a second because the coupler wouldn't move, but I got it off, and then I noticed yet again the bolt that goes into the O2 bung that's inside of my pipes is gone. This was on the ground. I don't think that has anything to do with it. I really don't. But we're gonna see how this works out. Okay, so I did a little bit of thinking, right? I went back to the book, like I said earlier, I reread the book. Didn't come up with anything. But I was looking under the car and I noticed that I did not notice a long time ago. Not sure if there's exactly a direct cause to it, but this may be a good guess in the direction. This EGR valve is turned off, but I don't know if it's still operating. I don't know if it's just an open hole flowing through here, if it pumps up and down. I'm not sure how it works, but I do know that it heads into the intake, it comes from the exhaust, and on the stock manifolds there's a hole. As a matter of fact, I have the stock manifolds back here. There is a hole on the manifolds that plug would go into, and I'm starting to think that that's maybe my issue. Oh look, there it is. Bingo. You see that extra hole? That hole, if you look on top, I remember, if you look on top, it goes, it's kind of hard to describe, but you see how it's not a hole here, right? The hole there actually travels into the exhaust manifold itself. Well, when it's plugged up to that side of the head, which is the passenger side. Now this is the passenger side. If you look up there where the header is, you see that first hole at the bottom, and then the second hole right above it. The first hole at the bottom is just the bolt hole that you saw was that extra hole on the headers to attach it to the heads. That second hole is where that top hole that doesn't have a back that actually goes into the exhaust manifold that's where it sits on the side of the head. It then goes to the EGR valve. If you can see that plug to the left, not the center, but the plug to the left, that's the EGR valve, goes into the EGR valve. Oh. And of course, right here, back up through the pipe, into the pipe, back into the intake, which is the exhaust gas for circulation. Takes exhaust gas, recirculates it back into the intake for combustion. What I'm thinking is the fact that I did not know that hole was not covered is probably sucking in air. Either it's sucking in air or there's a leak. That leak that is keeping it from reading the correct AFRs, and it's probably why it's surging. Now that's just my guess. I don't really know how true that is, but that's my guess on it. Like I said, I don't know if when DTP turned off the EGR valve in my car, I don't know if it's pumping, if it's just an open valve, if it's like a check valve. I don't know what the insides look like. I'd be happy to take one apart one of these days if I get this all situated. It might be this one. I might take this apart and put it back together and see how the internals look. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna unplug this, try to start the car, and see if I get a code for it. Okay, so here are the PCM trouble codes. If it focuses. Focus. Alright. We got a whole bunch of them, but that's because I took everything apart earlier. So, and you notice that top one right here is for the downstream O2 sensor, which I'm not sure how the second one just disappeared. I had a 032 and I had a 058, but the 058 isn't here anymore. So I'm not sure where it went, but it's gone. Anyway, I'm gonna clear these codes and start the car, let it run, and then unplug it, let it run, turn it off, unplug it, and then see if it makes a difference. We got, boom, still the same one. All right, let's see if I can unplug this while the car is on and if it throws a code right as I do it. Like I said, I don't know if he actually turned it off or whatever the case may be, but we about to find out. Go back, show trouble codes. Nothing. Okay. Let's start the car and see if that changes anything. Nothing. Still no code. So it might be turned off, but it might be letting it air. But I don't understand. Not understanding. It's got to be a check valve in there somewhere. And you see how my light's blinking? There's got to be something else that I can't see. It's got to be. And my fuel pump works. So I don't know. That's just my best guess. It's got to be that. There's no other leak anywhere. There's no other leak anywhere. And see, I haven't been able to actually drive the car in this condition, even when the last time I got it rebuilt. Oh, not rebuilt, but I rebuilt it, put it back together with these headers. I never even really had a chance to drive it, except when it dropped that seat. So it didn't tell me anything, you know? It wasn't running long enough to tell me what the situation was. So that's just my best guess on the situation. I don't really know what else to do. I mean, I just took I took every gasket off just now today, so I'm just leave it at that. And that's it for this episode of Yacht Life. Audi giving me so many damn problems. Okay, so let me explain something, because I'm pretty sure a lot of you are probably like, you dumb, you're stupid.